Welcome to another episode of our unique NUFC podcast. It's a pioneering week for our Newcastle United women as they make their debut at St James's Park for the first time this coming weekend. Another pivotal Northeast figure is also making her first visit to St James's Park, and she's our guest today. Before we meet today's guest, it's a warm welcome to a man I believe is as responsible as Eddie Howe for the Toons' great run. It's our podcast, and his predictions are legendary. It's Arab News sport editor Ali Khaled. AK, how are you?
I'm very well, Pete. Thank you so much.
You're our good luck. I mean, you're getting the predictions right, you know, with a podcast on a winning run. So was the team. It's happy days. And what another 3 points in East Anglia, but a clean sheet and 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, we predicted this one right. I think it wasn't, despite all the talk of, caution and, mathematically we're not safe yet and all that. It was the timing of the fixture was great for Newcastle, playing very well and all that. I think we both predicted 2-0. We were very close. We've been getting these predictions right over the last few weeks, which is great. Even when the results dipped, we kept having like sort of a bit of a long-term look, thinking that no need to panic. There was going to be a dip at some point. But apart from those 3 defeats, the team has come back so well after those 3 defeats, which ended with a 5-1 against Tottenham. Played so well. Eddie Howe did not panic. He's eased all his players in at the right time. I know Matt Targett is one of your favorites. He's been brilliant. And now I think we see Bruno well and truly like integrated into the team, and what a goal he scored. Yeah, you must have enjoyed that.
I've got to hold my hands up, and I'm sure that if our listeners were truthful, they may agree with me, but I'm gonna own up, Ali. When I saw the team, I thought, wow, I can understand Eddie wanting to rest players, basically not because the job was done, but because the job was closer. But also these boys have played a lot of games in recent weeks, so I knew he was going to mix it up. I think we hinted at that with Liam, but when I saw the lineup and I saw there was no centre forward, and they were resting Woody and Joe Linton went up top, I was like, well, okay, we're going to struggle for goals today. Shows what I know, doesn't it? Big Joe gets 2 and Gimaros to make it a Samba Boy special.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with Joe Linton, everyone's been talking about what a stroke of genius, like dropping him into midfield. It's turned out to be. He's been one of the outstanding players, of the second half of the season, or maybe the whole season, playing in midfield. But maybe that confidence that he gained playing in midfield and playing so well, has benefited him when he went back up front. Again, 2 goals.
Two great goals as well, by the way.
Two great goals, as you say, and really enjoyed Bruno's goal as well. And the celebration, very, very, very cool. And I again, like later that night, an interaction with him and Alan Shearer on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, and he was and yeah, it was brilliant. And he's saying, Alan Shearer's praising him, and he said, "I learned from you, boss." So yeah, it was. I think. Again, just, keep talking about what a positive atmosphere there's been around the club. And, now they just seem to be enjoying themselves. I think all the tension has gone away, and you could just see how much they enjoy playing with each other. They enjoy playing for Eddie Howe in front of the fans. It's happy days.
The target. It's a good ball by Longstaff, that one. Murphy's got there into the corner. A back heel for Kraft, and then a return to Murphy, who's broken into the area. Here's Sam Maxima. Oh, it's just ahead of Longstaff, but it's come to Joelinton! Oh! And that's a brilliant finish from Joelinton. Across goal and into the top corner. And they have taken the lead.
Shareen Quershi is the founder of Sports Tech Global Conference, where she spends most of her time as a director, as well as organising and hosting many high-profile events in London, raising millions, by the way, millions for charity. To name a few of these: Best Beginnings, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the Asmir Begovic Foundation, Kanu Foundation. I could go on, Missing People, Macmillan, and many, many more. Let's hear from the woman herself. Welcome, Shareen. How are you?
Hi, Pete. I'm very well, thank you. Very good morning from, I would say, a misty morning in London. I'm absolutely delighted to joining you today.
Well, we're delighted because it's taken a while, but we got there in the end. And what better weekend to go, because it's a case of two debuts for us, really. As I said in my intro there, Newcastle United women are making their debut, but so are you, because a little birdie tells me that you've never been to St James's Park, so it's a special weekend for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. I say it's an inaugural event for Newcastle United ladies, but it's also a very special moment for myself. Growing up in the Northeast, raised there, educated there, been past St James's Park numerous times, probably millions of times, but never been inside. So this is a very, very special moment. I think a moment that I will never forget. Always wished for this moment. So it's I'm really excited. I'm excited for the ladies that are playing.
Yep.
I'm excited for my community. I'm excited for the fans. And I think I'm excited for me just walking through those doors.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. As a little boy, you always remember that first time when you walk up, you walk up the stairs and you see that little green square down below you, which is the pitch. It's something that you will remember. I literally wish I was there to share it with you. Can't wait to hear back from you about how your feelings were. But yeah, I mean, you've just hinted on it. It is your area. It is your community. You're a proud Geordie. You were born there, right?
Absolutely. When I look back at my childhood and my family, I classify myself as a third culture kid, but the Northeast is one place that I would say combines all sorts of culture. Everyone comes from all different walks of life.
Yep.
But I think, for me growing up there, it was wonderful, having, I come from a mixed background, but having culture, religion, and the Geordie culture embedded in me is phenomenal. And I must say, I should thank my granddad who migrated here at the age of 19 to study. I don't know why he chose Newcastle University. Maybe, he saw pioneers going there before him. But he chose a city that I've seen the city develop and grow from my childhood to where it is today.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm proud of my city. No, wherever I go, it doesn't matter, if I'm in the Middle East or if I'm sitting in London today, I always say I'm a proud Geordie. It's something that I wear, that trademark.
It's like your own Newcastle United badge wherever you walk, isn't it? Because I know from dealing with you and having spoken to you in the build up to this interview today that you are a very proud Geordie. You say Grandad chose that. So what is the heritage of the family from Grandad's side, Shareen?
Of a very mixed heritage, Pete. So I would say, from the Middle Eastern background, he grew up in Malawi, then moved to Newcastle at the age of 19.
Wow.
He came as a student back then. I think something like £5 in his pocket. I think, that was his humble beginnings. I remember him saying that, his visa was only for 5 years. And he lived with a group of friends. He said, this is New England. He said things were very different then. Spoke very broken English and said he thought Geordie was a new language for him. He studied business and economics. And his very first job was, not a white collar job, but the quayside markets.
Wow.
Selling tights. That was my granddad's first job.
Fantastic.
Can you imagine a 19-year-old working in the markets at 4 a.m. in the morning and then, going off to uni? And then he met my gran, who is born and raised and bred Geordie. So she's Christian. She converted to Islam, which is wonderful. And I think the rest is all history. I would say, more than saying which country you're from, what's your origin, I always say, I'm a Geordie. Let's be honest about this. I'm a Geordie, yeah, because you don't have to look into sort of your race or your background if you're in that particular environment where communities click. I still go back home now and we have the same window cleaner and the same milkman, and sometimes
Absolutely.
you see the kids who have now gone into the same a similar kind of occupation. everybody knows you. You're one big family. I've been to Manchester, I've been to Birmingham, I've lived in London for 20 plus years. I haven't come across a community like the Northeast.
Amazing. You mentioned University of Northumbria, a place that you graduated from yourself. You joined Barclays. So what was, I mean, that's a journey in itself, which probably led you to the capital. Tell us about that time.
Interesting time. So I'm now casting you back 2 decades. So we're just getting into, the 2001. After graduation, times are very different in the Northeast. I found it very challenging for someone like me finding a corporate job.
Okay.
My vision was always big. It was always, I worked at St. Oswald's Hospice at Gosforth. That was voluntary. I did that for numerous months and thoroughly enjoyed my experience there. However, I was someone who was looking at, I'll use the word disruptive today, but for me it was change. I wanted something different. Sadly applied for many jobs. Anyone listening today who interviewed me, I wish you did give me a job, because you would have kept me grounded in the Northeast. I benchmarked and I wasn't successful. That led me thinking that I need to move somewhere where I would be able to sort of grow and my skill set. So yes, that's when the move took place from the Northeast down south into the financial markets. Very different, I think for someone who grew up in the Northeast, my culture was different. I look and feel different, and especially my accent was a lot stronger back then. And I joined, not only do I join a bank, but I also join the environment which is full of men. Very different. And I think the last 20 years has been my training ground. You've just got to train, and every milestone and every success, you've got to learn, develop, coach, and train. I think if I was to rewind myself back 20 odd years, I wish that the experience I had in London was the experience that I would be able to cultivate in the Northeast.
I suppose, to be fair, though, I mean, there's the old phrase that everything happens for a reason, and boy, has it happened to you for a million reasons. So I want to touch on the birth of your baby, your real labor of love. So tell us about Sports Tech Global. How did that come about?
In all honesty, Pete, I would say sport has always been ingrained in me. I represented my school in netball. I currently have broken fingers. I think it then led to academia, and that's probably part of culture. In order to sort of succeed in life, you need to have a solid background in education. And in my world, it was STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths.
Yeah.
In the corporate ladder, I would say, Paige, I started off from humble beginnings, wasn't a director from get-go, had to work, in terms of working up my skill set. That wasn't easy within itself, but it took time. So in each milestone, I was climbing up to the next platform. I would say evolving and changing world. Back in 2015, Barclays decided to set up Eagle Labs, and I took an interest. All I ever did was remain in the same institution, but move to different departments.
Right.
I became heavily involved in these ecosystems, these Eagle Labs, and helped set up fintech, which is now super popular, all the way through to health tech, reg tech, and legal tech. So I was at the legal tech lab, Notting Hill Gate. And at that point, I thought, 1992, Barclays set up, they were the biggest sponsorship for Premier League. And it was a light bulb moment, sort of Premier League, labs, technology, innovation. And at that time, sort of with my Sharpie pens, my thoughts were around sports technology. And the initial plans, in all honesty, it was for this institution. And then, sadly, as we all know, the whole world went into lockdown in 2020, and priorities changed. With that change in mind, this baby of mine, sports tech, is something that's been brewing. It's a bit like a tea bag in a cup. So I decided to grow this baby, not just during the lockdown, but it was a bigger vision. So what does one do? You know, one knocks on the doors of good friends, and I'll lead on to a very good friend.
Someone that we'll all know as well, isn't it?
Yes, I know. It's leading up to that momentum. Like, let's play the drums. I would go if I was to cast back to Newcastle United again. It was an era where I followed Gaza. Oh my God, he was just amazing on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then we had Sir Les Ferdinand, who was at the time, being a Geordie, you know, we called him the posh striker because he was from Tottenham, you know, in London, so he was posh. Then obviously we had the Alan Shearer.
Sure.
And I guess as a child, I always had this vision that, you know, if I haven't been to a football match, I haven't met these players, you know, and I love sports. How do I, you know, it's almost how do I engage with these top end superstars?
Next best way, isn't it? What's the next best way?
Yeah, the next best way. So I think, you know, yet again, I knocked on many doors, I'll be honest with you, but the friendship that grew, when someone would ask me, how did you grow this friendship with this individual? I would say the visibility was key. So you mentioned in my introduction that I did many stuff, high profiled speaking at many events, corporate and non-corporate across London, and our paths connected. There was many times this individual would say to me, congratulations. And it was almost like, this is your moment, Shareen. Confidence. Yeah. Go and ask for this individual's number. Share your project. And I'd say around 8-9 years ago, I did exactly that. I was probably like a little school child saying, well, I have a little project. Autograph, yeah, the autograph that I never received because I couldn't find my pen. That's a story for another day. And yeah, I would say the relationship started from initial conversations. You know, well done. You know, where you work for Barclays. You know, well done on your successes. It then led to the charitable work that I was doing, which now QPR is, you know, the big. The branding that you see at the stadium is the Kind Prince Foundation. I took a huge interest in supporting some of these charitable endeavors. In fact, my team ran the marathon last year supporting the Kind Prince Foundation. So this individual, I will name him now, so there's no waiting around, is Les Ferdinand.
Brilliant.
The success of Sports Day Global Conference is based on not just my 3 pillars, but based on a really good relationship with one individual.
Oh, it's amazing. And you just mentioned there now, there's so much going on in your life, and I find it incredible just to keep up with you. But as I say, we're so excited about having you on the show, and excited to hear about your visit to St. James's. So that means you are going to have to come back on the show. You know that. But I wanted to know from our conversations this week that you're in training for not one, but 2 major events now. Are you allowed to share with us what they are?
Absolutely. I think, you know, if I survive this year, I'll carry that big flag. It'd be an absolute miracle. From the 7th of June until the 17th, I'm climbing Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
A couple of reasons for that. The whole initiative was set up 2 years ago I've always supported the military. I carry the covenant for the military. And a couple of years back, I also did the military field gun, one of the most challenging sports for a civilian to participate in. And I was with the sappers, the Royal Engineers. And I said that I would do something in future years that would mark a bit of a challenge, but also something that I've never done before, and inspire young women to join me in future years. So yes, it's climbing Kilimanjaro with Team Endeavour, the military, and it couldn't be a better year than, you know, we're celebrating the Queen's Jubilee.
Amazing.
You know, so so whilst we have that wonderful long bank holiday, I'll be prepping, flying out, 6 days up, 2 days down, possibly a couple of resting days. But yes, it's climbing Kilimanjaro. It doesn't stop there, Pete. You know,
No, go on.
I have sadly last year trained for 2 marathons,
Yep.
and unfortunately I was struck with COVID. My team at Sports Tech continued and they ran the marathons, but I wasn't with them, and I was very saddened because the training takes months and months. I'm not pro, but I was getting there. So this year I am running 2 marathons, one the Great North Run, and I'm really excited. So that means running in the streets that I grew up in, and the roads that I drove and my grandparents drove. So I'm excited. And the second one will be the London Marathon. So the half marathon will be my warm up in my home city, and then the full marathon. But it doesn't stop
and the warm up
there.
to both of those is just climbing that small hill.
Oh, I know it's going to be. And can you believe this? I'm actually doing this in my 40s, but it's in the tier that I belong in. So you'll see a lot of slogans: "Pimp my hijab," etc. And it's all 100% all for charity. Yep. All this money is going to a charity that's close to myself and my family. So it's one, it's Sports Trader. So on that mark, I will say that they're opening a shop in Newcastle. It's happening soon, so there'll be Sports Trader supporting young children who have less, lack of privileges in terms of technology and different backgrounds, and supporting them. And then we have Deborah is a charity that supports a very rare skin condition called EB. And I would love to go on about these 2 charities, but they're very close to my heart. So 100% of proceeds will be supporting these charities, as well as the military team Endeavour. And many more charities, depending how much I raise.
We're just hoping that we can get you back on to tell us all about it, because it's going to be such a journey and such an adventure. I would dare to say as well, given your Geordie roots, which has come through strong in this, and your love of Newcastle United, it's come through very strong in this interview, that in each of those events, let's say whether it's the Great North Run, whether it's the marathon or climbing Kilimanjaro, I think there'll be a Newcastle United shirt involved in each of them.
Well, absolutely. It's black and white all the way through. Honestly, what did they say? And I listened to the song. This is probably, some people probably weren't even born, or some of the girls that are playing on Sunday probably weren't born. But do you remember the Fog on the Tyne? Is mine or mine? You do.
I certainly do. I certainly do.
So every time I train and I'm at the gym, that's one of the first songs I play on my Spotify. Yeah, and it gives me that internal buzz, because obviously it's the voice of Gaza and all these people of the Northeast, from Anton Deck to Donna Eyre, Biker Grove, so the people that have really sort of, highlighted from Cheryl Cole, our city. I would say, they inspired me, really they have. And it's taken me a while, but it's now's the time. It couldn't be any perfect, I would say. All I've got to make sure is that I've stay injury prone and I keep up with my disciplines. That's mindset, nutrition, and exercise.
Knowing you like I do, I'm sure there won't be any problem with that. And you say about people leading, you named some names there, but you're holding that torch now for the next generation. So we're just really honoured and privileged that you had the time to speak to us at Black and White with Arab News. The one and only Shareen Quershi. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Pete. I really am looking forward to Sunday and meeting bringing back that Geordie accent, like my dad calls me Pet. I love it.
Right.
Tsunami and Walk It. But we'll speak soon. Thank you so much. And can I just say a massive shout out and good luck to everyone who'll be there. And if you aren't there, please join us. I'd love to see as many communities come together on Sunday and, just let's wave that flag, that black and white flag.
Great stuff. The one and only Shareen Quershi live with us. I can't wait to hear back from her again. Brilliant stuff. Okay, last word as always, and what a last word it's going to be this weekend, because it's a massive game at St James's Park. Ali, Liverpool are in town, and Newcastle will go into this one thinking, it's a great yardstick for them to see how far they've come against a team who are banging form on all fronts.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the situations couldn't be any more different for the two clubs. Newcastle, party time, really. I think, as we mentioned earlier, everyone's enjoying themselves, safety guaranteed now. And, and I think obviously Liverpool come in, it's at a very tense time of the season for them in the sense that, they're playing on all fronts still. It opens the door for Newcastle to have a good performance, I think, in the sense that Liverpool obviously are, cannot afford to drop any more points in the league, because they're just running out of games, and Man City are hardly going to drop anything. So Liverpool could win all their remaining games and still not win the league. But they've also got the Champions League second leg. They did do very well in the first leg, 2-0, a solid 2-0 win, but it doesn't mean it's not over. I think maybe if it was 3 or 4-0.
Unai Emery said that it'll be different. Yeah, he said he's going to make sure it's different.
It will be. I mean, I watched Villarreal play against Bayern Munich and Juventus and all that. They're a very good team, very, very good team. They didn't show it in the first leg against Liverpool. They were very negative, very defensive, but we expected that. I think Liverpool had they won 3 or 4-0, Klopp might have, been a little bit more relaxed about the game at St James's Park. Maybe
he would have. He can't afford to be now, can he?
No, he can't afford to be in either game, so, and to be honest, from now till the rest of the season. So Newcastle go in with a lot of confidence, and I think it'll be a tough game, obviously, because I think Liverpool will be at, full pelt, and as you mentioned, just playing so well.
I've got to say that Newcastle have actually got a part to play in this run-in, because obviously they play Liverpool, but they've got Man City as well. So it could be that Newcastle are a form team. When we look at this year's form league, they're second in it. So if anyone's going to cause a possible upset for Liverpool or Manchester City, it could be the Toon.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned, obviously, this is because Newcastle are at home against Liverpool. There's probably a higher probability of an upset there, but again, going to City, City have their own big games and they can't afford, to drop anything. And they've got their own very big second leg against Real Madrid. So I think the visit of Newcastle, that will be tough. One of their tougher remaining fixtures, I would think, as well, as you mentioned.
Okay, so because you're in such good form, as are Liverpool, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give us a score for the weekend.
I think it's going to be Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2.
Okay, good enough for me. Well, it's not, because obviously I want a result, but we can enjoy the game. And as I say, the important thing is to show the fans how far they've come, and who knows if Newcastle are at it and they've got a little bit of luck about them and Liverpool's thoughts are elsewhere, it could be a really, really special day at St James's Park. Let's hope our guest Shareen enjoys it over the weekend. Let's hope you all do. That's it from him, Ali Khaled, and me, Geordie Pete Redding, on another edition of Black and White with Arab News. How are the lads?